She is a human rights advocate. Thank you so much for being with us on the program. Now, the Medellin was labeled as performative, but that was the whole point. They knew that they weren't going to be able to break the siege, but it got people talking and recentering the conversation around Gaza, which is what really matters. And this convoy is quite big. More than 1,500 people are joining. Walk us through what they hope to achieve.
I think it's really important to acknowledge that I know Israel tried to smear this as performative and a skit. They called it the selfie yacht. This is not performative. It is symbolic. It is showing that a small handful of dedicated people can indeed challenge a system, an international system that is failing the Palestinian people, that is failing human rights, that is failing in delivering on its promise of upholding moral order and also respecting international and local laws in many countries. What we're seeing now with this convoy on foot is defiance. We are seeing that people are willing to sacrifice and to take personal risk to challenge Israel's authority, to challenge Israel's blockade and siege that did not start on the 7th of October. It's important to remind people that, Gaza has been under siege for 17, 18 years. Things like diapers, things like formula are not allowed in. So this march across the world is putting pressure not only on the Israeli government, but on other governments to say that your citizens want you to do better. Our citizens want the world to stop making exceptions and exemptions and to stop meddling in hypocrisy and more mental Olympics to try to justify Israel's atrocities that are not justifiable.
We are hearing that people have already been detained in Egypt for trying to join this convoy. What other action can we expect the Egyptian government to make?
You're going to continue to see a crackdown. This is not the first time that governments have stepped in to try to stop this type of advocacy and activism. I think that we are going to see continued attempts to smear the activists, to discredit them, to try to put them down and to try to downplay the importance and significance of this initiative. But what is going to continue to happen is that we have the power of the media. We have social media at our fingertips, and we're going to continue to expose and highlight the hypocrisy that is embedded into every part of the global systems enabling of Israel to commit its crimes. So I think you're going to see over the next couple of days a lot more people being detained, harassed, potentially different borders blocking the convoys from crossing into Egypt and potentially Turkey and other places. So I think we're going to continue to see an escalation, but I think you'll continue to see a defiance of the people and an exposure of the double standards and the concerted effort to continue to allow the Palestinian people to suffer under Israel's brutality.
I do understand that you've been mobilizing your community there as well. How important is it that the people in the U.S., across the Middle East, and the rest of the world mobilize and put pressure on their governments to do more to stop this genocide?
I think it's critical. We always say that, we rely on governments and we rely on, moral clarity of institutions. The world has never turned to the right direction because people in positions of power that were exploiting and benefiting from marginalization and oppression changed. It was always the public that pushed for change, whether you look at apartheid South Africa, whether you look at segregation in the United States or slavery. It was the moral awakening. It was people at mass willing to say, I am done with the status quo. I will not be part of the status quo. And so what we are seeing on the streets of Washington, all over Europe, all over the world, actually, is a moral reckoning where the world is no longer willing to just be innocent bystanders. No one is an innocent bystander. Our tax dollars are funding this as American citizens. Our silence is not being neutral. I think there's been a shift in awakening of people to understand that silence is not neutrality. Silence is complicity. People are able and governments are able to continue to commit atrocities because silence enables them to continue to do so. We in the United States here in Washington, D.C. have been boots on the ground in Washington, D.C. now, for upwards of 620 days, every single day, challenging institutions of power and forcing them to have to confront the reality of what is being funded and supported in Palestine, which to many people is just a policy decision, and then they just check out and go about their lives. We want to bring the photos and the pictures and the reality of the starvation and the inhumanity and the brutality and the assaults on children to the faces of these communities, to make them have to look at it, to make them have to look away from it, and to remind them that they are complicit. And what we're actually seeing around the world is you're seeing a change. A lot of people are now saying, oh, I don't support it. You know, there's a change in tune, and we need to keep the pressure up. We need to push for accountability and also justice for the Palestinian people.
Okay, Hazami Barmada, thank you so much for being with me here on TRT World and sharing that insight with us. I appreciate it.
Thank you.